With the right policy and execution, small and medium-sized enterprises could be significant beneficiaries of the EU's proposed free trade deal with African countries. CGTN's Ramah attended the World Export Development Forum in Zambia. He spoke to the director of the International Trade Center, Arancha Gonzales, about the impact such a deal would have on the continent.
He's putting the cursor on investment, on private sector development, on job creation. He said up to 10 million jobs that could be created over the next 5 years thanks to the EU's support to this continent. So he's putting the cursor where I think African countries want the cursor to be, more on private sector development, more on investment, to complement the aid that inevitably some of the countries also will continue to receive. The second big development was the announcement that Europe is thinking and is prepared to do a deal bloc to bloc with Africa. In the past, it was with African regional communities, but I think the speed in Africa to move beyond integrating at the regional level to integrating at the continental level is now matched by a similar response on the European side. And I think this is intelligent. First, because this is what Africans want. Presumably, if they've integrated, is to deal bloc to bloc with others. But also because this is what small and medium enterprises in this country want and what businesses in Europe want. So it's a triple win. It's a win-win-win deal, which makes the speech all the more intelligent, in my view. Obviously, all these trade deals are great, only for as long as they are implemented. And this is where I think we wanted to put the cursor today in Lusaka during the World Export Development Forum. Don't stop at doing the deals. Make sure they get implemented and make sure the business understand the opportunities that come with them. Hence the launch of a business guide that ITC and the African Union Commissioner for Trade have put on the table to help businesses tap into the opportunities of these new trade flows that are coming on the horizon.
I'd like to focus on the wider context as well, because at this point in time, if you look at emerging market currencies, the rand has been taking a particularly bad beating, and it's not just them. The American dollar is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Doesn't that have a suppressive effect, though, on the ability of these countries to keep trading with each other and investing in each other?
Well, what I take from what's happening in the markets today is that no one in the world economy is insulated from unilateral measures taken by one or other. That we are so integrated that whatever happens in Washington affects Beijing, whatever happens in Beijing affects Hanoi, whatever happens in Hanoi is affecting Lusaka, Nairobi, and Addis Ababa. This should be a wake-up call for leaders around the world to realize that maybe the time has come to go back to the negotiating table, at the multilateral negotiating table, that is, at the global table, where everybody's interests will be taken into account when devising the rules of international trade for the 21st century. It is true that these rules need a bit of an upgrade. That's what we hear from virtually every country that speaks in the World Trade Organization, but it is time to move away from unilateralism that at the end of the day will end up having a penalizing effect on all of them, and go back to discussing trade at the multilateral level.
But how possible is that to happen? Because if you look at things like the Doha round of trade talks, right, they stalled basically on the question of agriculture. Everyone agrees that, yes, we need to update the WTO for today's economy, for today's standards, but the question really is, how do we get there, isn't it?
Well, maybe we have to take inspiration from parts of the Doha round that did work. Maybe agriculture didn't totally work, although parts of agriculture did. For example, countries agreed to eliminate export subsidies, export support in general, including export subsidies. This was a big deal. They hadn't done it for the last 60 years. They did it. They did it, by the way, in Nairobi, during the WTO ministerial in Nairobi. Credit to the WTO. There was an agreement to liberalize trade in IT products worth billions of dollars. Credit to the WTO. There was an agreement to facilitate trade across borders, to simplify border procedures, to cut red tape. No one talks about this. Billions of dollars. Biggest beneficiaries, small and medium enterprises. Credit to the WTO. So, yes, there are parts of the WTO that have not maybe provided the results that were expected, but there are others that have provided those results.